Yes, maybe. Yep, we are live.
Maybe.
All right. Yep. I think this is it. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Stone Guy 223, the Tack Daddy After Show. Um,
Oh yeah.
and from my left, we have Glock Guru with us.
Hello, hello.
Next to him is Gun Websites,
Howdy.
and then the Tack Daddy,
What is up?
and Nathan's Armory,
Hello, I'm away from my computer right now.
What?
and Mr. Cork 71.
Hey guys.
Hey guys.
Still smashing shit like a mother.
Yeah.
And no, I'm
Smashing
not.
soda cans and cans of
Sexually-
beans.
Sexually frustrated.
What it says. I am not smashing anything out with my wrist the way it is. So.
Almost drought season.
Hey, there's
Alright,
still
so-
snow in May in Wisconsin. Can you believe that?
All right, so I'm gonna start this off a little differently. You're gonna have to listen to me read for a minute. But this is an article I came across. Some of you may be familiar, and this may be old news, but it's new to me as far as I don't know how prevalent it is. I guess I just haven't heard about it. But so here it goes. It says gun retailers say the Obama administration is trying to put them out of business with regulations and investigations that bypass Congress and choke off their lines of credit, freeze their assets, and prohibit online sales. It says the FDIC listed gun retailers as high risk, along with porn stores and drug paraphernalia shops. So
What?
meanwhile, the Justice Department has launched Operation Choke Point, a credit card fraud probe focusing on banks and payment processors. The threat of enforcement has prompted some banks to cut ties with online gun retailers, even those companies that have valid licenses and good credit histories. It says the administration has very clearly told the banking industry which customers they feel represent, reputable risk, I guess is the way they phrase it. So financial institutions are reacting with this extraordinary enforcement. It says the Justice Department representative said the agency is conducting several investigations that aim to hold accountable banks who are knowingly assisting fraudulent merchants who harm consumers. It says we are committed to ensuring that efforts to combat fraud do not discourage or inhibit the lawful conduct of these honest merchants. Yeah, so it's kind of like they're kind of double talking. It seems like.
I'll jump in. I think it's crazy. You're seeing again the federal reach come into where states have clearly said that they want to be able to sell drugs, and the government's looked at it and been like, all right, well, guess what? Those banks are FDIC banks. No drug money goes into banks.
Right, and then here's another. It says and a explanatory email from the bank said this letter in no way reflects any derogatory reasons for such action on your behalf, but rather one of industry. Unfortunately, your company's line of business is not does not commensurate with the industries we work with. And so and then they give a couple bullet points of people this actually happened to. Black Rifle Armory in Henderson, Nevada, had its bank accounts frozen until it was determined whether an online transactions were suspicious. And then it said in 2012, Bank of America suddenly dropped a 12-year-old account of Macmillan Group International, a gun manufacturer in Phoenix. It says, even though the company had a good credit history, the owner said the gun parts maker American Spirit Arms in Scottsdale, Arizona, received similar treatment by Bank of America, the country's largest banking institution. So that's just a couple of them that they're going after here.
Get your guns while you can.
So that's kind of taking a whole different spin on we all talk about the political, the political aspect of them trying to go out with legislation. So this, to me, this was kind of a new deal when it's
Actually, it's been going on for quite a while with different businesses. It's nothing new. It's just a way that the government, when they can't pass a law, tries to deal with it. So you get a president in power who can't get a law passed that he wants passed. He finds other ways to basically affect what he wants to affect.
Yeah, that's the point. So now they're maybe influencing banking institutions.
Yeah, it's been an ongoing thing. When my friend was in banking, they were doing it then too. So.
Yeah, it first started in '08 with the financial crisis. The head of the Treasury, when he pulled in all the heads of the banks and told them to take the TARP money, Bank of America actually said they didn't want to. And he had the president of the FDIC in the room with him. It was a woman. And he said, "You see that over there? She's the head of the FDIC. If you don't take this TARP money, she's going to pull your FDIC insurance." So he literally pulled a mafia threat move on the head of the biggest bank in the United States to force him to take TARP. Because he said if one of you doesn't take it, it makes everyone else look weak.
And what's TARP?
That's that money that they gave to all the big banks, the Trouble Asset Relief Program.
It's the big bailout money.
Yeah, it's a bailout money. Yeah, he said you're going to take the bailout money even if you don't think you need it, so that nobody looks weak. Because if one bank doesn't take it and refuses it because they have lots of extra money, it makes everyone look like they don't.
Well, I mean, it might sound unscrupulous, but now with 2020 hindsight, it saved the economy, and now we're flourishing, right?
No, we're not flourishing. Come on.
But that's
wait.
And you of all people, G-Webs, I'm surprised at that. So you're saying it's okay to do the wrong thing if the ends justify the means?
No, I think I'm trying to illustrate that it didn't even do anything except waste all that money, right?
Yeah, it totally was a waste of money.
Here.
And
It's just
here's the
bad,
funny
bad
thing
sarcasm. Sorry, I'll work on it.
All right.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize you're being sarcastic. But yeah, I mean, that's just one thing. And here's another thing is, since they did that, then the new administration took over and got into power, and when Bank of America wanted to pay it back, the Obama administration refused to take their money, said, no, you need to keep that money just in case, and we want to tell you what to do. Okay? They were using all the banks with TARP money to force them to follow their directives, to control them, even if they wanted to pay it back. So I'm just saying, it doesn't surprise me. In '08, when he entered office, he learned that he could control the banks.
Now, did he actually take control, or did they just say, hey, or what do you want us to do? Like, did they come to him and did he take control, or did they give him control? I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, okay, so they have the TARP money, and so then he's in a position where he can go and say, you guys need to do this and do this because I say so, and then they say, because they have the TARP money, he goes, the U.S. The U.S. bailed you out, so now we are a controlling stakeholder in your company because we have this TARP money. So he could basically influence their board of directors' policies and procedures, and he was blocking them from doing the things they wanted to do. And it actually backfired on him because in the case of Bank of America, when they said, we want to pay you, and he refused, about 6 months later, they needed to hire a new CEO, and he was sitting there going, well, their justification was, we can't hire the new CEO because we can't offer him bonuses because you said that if we had TARP money, we couldn't bonus him. And so they painted themselves in a corner, and then Bank of America was able to write the check and pay the TARP money back because they caught them in a catch-22, the administration. So that's why Bank of America was the first bank to pay back the TARP money, was because they had to trick the administration into being in a political corner. But I mean, if you're talking about Obama controlling banks, he learned he could control banks in '08 when he took office. That the Treasury and the FDIC, if he controls them, and he controls the Federal Reserve, that's all you need to control everything about a bank, because you hold all the money.
No,
The Federal Reserve is not affiliated with the United States of America. So how would he have any control in the Federal Reserve?
Stone Guy, the Federal Reserve is a private bank, yes, but the chairman of the Federal Reserve is appointed by the president, and the chairman has to go in front of Congress twice a year and justify things that they're doing. So while they technically are kind of free and clear, they do have lots of connections with the politicians. They just don't have so many that the politicians can tell them all the time what to do. You know what I'm saying? Congress can't really influence them, but the president has some influence.
Actually, I did not know that. I knew that seems totally asinine to me that a private company would have to be the leader of that company would have to be appointed by someone outside of that company. That doesn't make any sense to me. When you talk about private industry.
The Federal Reserve is a hybrid concept that's jacked up anyway. They control our money supply. I mean,
we borrow from them.
They're the ones who can tell the Treasury to print money or not.
So I'm saying we borrow from the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is its own entity. It's its own bank. It's its own funding institution. So why would we appoint someone? I don't know. I guess.
Why would we allow a private company to control all our money? That's another good question.
Because in 1913, the 5 richest companies and bankers and dudes got together and said, "Let's take over." And since then, it's just too far out of the box. We could liquefy, in theory, every single thing of value in America, and we cannot pay back the interest that we now owe that entity that we're talking about. So when they're printing and putting billions of dollars to quote unquote save the economy, it's a big joke. Get real.
Oh, and it is a big joke because
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking out loud. Sorry.
Well, no. You're right. It is a big joke because let's say that the government has a shortfall of, let's say, $1 trillion, which they have in the past, and China doesn't want to buy their $1 trillion of bonds, right? So what do? The Federal Reserve goes, okay, we'll buy your $1 trillion in bonds. Here you go. Here's a check for $1 trillion. And then we give them savings bonds. And then somebody goes, wait, where'd you get that $1 trillion from, Federal Reserve? And they go, oh, well, we have hard assets that back it up. And you go, what assets are that? And they go, well, we just bought all these treasury notes that are good. So it's a catch-22. They created the money and bought savings bonds with the money they magically created. And that's what backs it up, is the savings bonds they bought. It's a shell game. Plain and simple. They move the shells around, and that's how we believe that our money is good, because we buy it.
What were we about to say, G-Webs?
Guns?
Yeah, we've gone off on a tangent. So here's
well, I was going to say, you said you originally started talking about the 2 examples, but I'm pretty sure that Bank of America Phoenix thing, I remember that. That was like 2 years ago? It was a while ago.
Yeah, they said late 2012.
So, I mean, I don't want to discourage people from paying attention. I don't want to discourage people from digging into, the facts and history and stuff. But on the other hand, I don't want to incite panic buying or something because of something that happened 2 years ago and then now. I mean, that doesn't seem like a lot of momentum. And maybe there was other stuff in between that I'm just not aware of. And again, I don't want to be, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. But I mean, if they were going, if there was literally the President of the United States was on a stint to put gun shops out of business, or maybe to put online buying firearms out of business, I think he could do it faster than once every 2 years, right? Or like one blow every 2 years.
But you have to understand.
I think he blows a lot more than every 2 years.
You have to understand that the president, everything he's done to try to reduce guns has increased the sale of them. You see what I'm saying? He has done so much, talked so much about guns, and all that it does is increase the sales. He has sold more guns than any president in the history of the United States, easily, by tenfold.
Yeah, that's kind of a poetic justice.
He keeps attacking it. Every time he attacks it, the reaction is, more demand. He doesn't understand supply and demand. His attacks increase demand, which increases the supply. And he's trying to cut the supply, but as long as there's money involved, he can't do it.
I kind of always wondered, does he really give a damn? Because I don't think he really cares about too many things except seeing, things erode. So does he really give a damn, or did he just think, well, I'm not doing real good on the financial side, and it's sort of like, well, we've always got the old standby, poke the gun owners, and they'll react by buying.
I don't think that his plan to save the economy is to get us to buy a whole lot of guns. I don't think.
Oh, I don't mean to save anything, just to distract and to throw some money on the pile or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I really don't keep up with it as much as I probably could or should.
I can't say to his, because again, he's very hard to pin down exactly what he believes and why. I can say that his entire base, though, before he was here, was totally anti-gun, and he was anti-gun before. The reason I think that he completely and utterly doesn't like guns is for his first 4 years, he never mentioned them. I've never seen a president avoid a topic with more effort than this one. So that indicated to me that he was waiting to go after them. Normal presidents would be like, I don't really like guns if they asked him. But he would not even broach the subject, which is probably the best poker hand. You know what I'm saying? Like with poker hand, you want to pretend like you don't have a good hand. So that's what I watched him for 4 years, and I said he won't even talk about guns, good or bad. And the fact that he won't comment on that one subject indicated to me he was going to go after it. We disconnected.
What happened? Is Edge running this chat?
I don't know, man. Stone Guy must have left.
I was muted.
Okay,
Sorry, I was.
So Stone Guy, I got a question for you.
What's up?
Okay, so you also said in that article that they don't want people selling drugs and stuff, except actually Eric Holder and the president are trying to get the FDIC to allow to relax.
It's a drug paraphernalia, but they said it was high risk, including porn shops and drug paraphernalia, like glass pipes and bongs, and for tobacco use only.
Well, here's the deal: is they're actually trying to get banks to start taking the money of the people in Washington and Colorado, the businesses that run marijuana, and they're trying to relax the laws, because right now banks won't operate with businesses that do that, because they're scared, because it's a federal crime, right? So they're worried about getting in trouble. And he's actually sending out dictates, no, it's okay for you to work with these businesses because it's legal in those states, and we're not prosecuting people in those states. So what he's really doing is he's trying to get into that cash cow, the new gold rush that there is. He's trying to get that money taxed. As long as the people can justify to the IRS that I can't put that money in the bank, they can't be audited effectively. They can't get at that money.
So ultimately what I'm hearing is, as long as there's money to be made, we really shouldn't worry about it, because the money's going to drive the policy.
Well, no, think about this. He's okay with getting the marijuana money. He's not happy with getting gun money. He's okay with marijuana money. He's against gun money. So it goes back to what he really thinks, in the fact that he's trying to get banks to cut gun owners off and to cut gun businesses off, but he's trying to get into the marijuana businesses with the banks. So, and it goes right with what his party supports. The Dems have never been anti-marijuana, really, but they've always been anti-gun.
Yeah, I know that my local gun shop had a problem with their bank. They actually had to switch banks because that bank didn't want to deal with them. It was a smaller regional bank. Want to deal with anything dealing with firearms. So.
Well, and y'all are reading these articles and being surprised and stuff, but the president always uses his bully pulpit to attack something he dislikes. This is nothing new. I mean, the Bush administration using the FCC to threaten Stern and all the broadcast channels to clean up their acts because of the Janet Jackson crisis. That was their, what do you call it? What they were shaking their fists at was about censorship and all that. So this is not new. It's just he don't like gun owners, so he's going to tell the banks not to support gun shops. But what happens? The more he attacks us, the more we resist. The worst thing he can do is tell an American he's not supposed to do something, and they'll want to do it more.
Yeah, it's like a 3-year-old telling not to get into the candy jar,
More like a free person being told not to be free.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's a better analogy, huh?
I don't like to be thought of as a 3-year-old.
Well, gee whiz, you are a 3-year-old at heart.
So, all right. Well, what else we got? What else we got going on around the world? Anybody jump in? Anything you didn't get to in your show, Tack, that you wanted to expand on a little bit?
Well, we were sitting around talking about guns and stuff when Jennifer Young had a show tonight with Erica on it. So we're all doing something around.
Erica
from Corey and Erica, maybe you've heard of them?
Oh, shut up.
She had the baby and she got back in shape.
Who had her on?
Jennifer Young, one of our newest members here on Gun Channels.
Jennifer Young.
From Illinois. She's been on chats all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess she does her own chat. We'll have to add it to the schedule.
Well, Jennifer Young, she was
the chat goes dead and Stone Guy goes over and watches that.
Yeah. No, she was doing one for if I'm thinking of this, if this is the same lady, like used to be in the Air Force, has the little pink girl as her logo.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know she was in the Air Force, but yeah, she's got the little like pink cartoon girl.
Yeah, okay, same girl. Yeah, she was hosting a chat for General Banner out of Canada, the Canadian guy, General Banner. I've had him on my chat a couple times. So she was like spearheading his chats, and like he was hosting and she was helping set up, but I didn't realize she had branched out. So she actually got Erica on the show, huh? That's awesome.
Yeah, for an hour and 7 minutes.
So I'll be watching that.
I have a question.
And on that note, this will end now.
Yeah, on that note, see y'all later.
I have a serious question. Has she had her baby yet?
Oh yeah, little Noah.
Okay, I didn't been keeping up with it. I don't.
That would have been the longest pregnancy ever. I mean,
baby Noah.
Dude, you know what has the longest pregnancy ever? They have a elephant here in Tucson. They have a 2.5 year, whatever that's called, pregnancy. 2.5 years. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Normal elephants? I mean, is that, or is this?
I guess that's normal. I mean, I just heard it on the radio. I'm assuming that's normal.
Well, I think about it.
Elephants have the longest, carry the baby the longest.
Gestation period.
They have to come out and like run from lions, so I guess it makes sense, right?
Well, they come out the size of.
No, seriously, why wouldn't a lion want to kill a little baby elephant?
Well, they usually don't have to run from lions because mommy's usually there to step on the lion.
Well, that's probably true.
Well, as like anything else, they try to separate it from the herd of elephants, and normally it's not successful. But when it is, elephants will take down a baby elephant.
Unless it has big ears and can fly.
And so, for all the people that aren't watching, the internal chat has gotten incredibly crude.
Uh-oh.
Yes, it has. I'm not doing any of that on Stone Guy's chat. That's a after chat topic.
All right, let's get back
Gun Channels After Dark.
National news tonight. Before the California incident, I'm not going to call it a shooting because it was a combo of both, a stabbing and a shooting.
No, wait,
they led off with that flight that was lost in the Pacific, 2 months ago, wherever that was.
777.
Can you believe that? Or excuse me, that was yesterday. Excuse me, yesterday's news.
What was it?
You know that
Yes.
whatever that flight that was lost in the Pacific. You know that just disappeared from radar. That one was actually went on the news before the
California stuff.
the California killing.
Well, Robbie keeps insisting in the chat through Tech Daddies and then now on this one that they're backing off on that. So, I mean, I guess I don't watch enough mainstream TV. I don't have a TV, so I just watch, stuff online, and I don't really watch news that way. So, you guys that have seen TV, is that the case? Are they not going after this guy? He's suggesting that's because the kid, the asshole, was, too ingrained with the, Hollywood and whatnot, and yeah, they don't want to, I guess, hurt the parents, or I don't know what.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing too. Is that not to put the parents through, kind of bigwigs in Hollywood.
Wait. One at a time. I totally missed what G-Webs was saying because Cork was fucking talking over you.
Well, I was disagreeing with what Gio said, that his parents are too much of a bigwig in Hollywood for the media to do too much about this without hitting some backlash from Hollywood.
Well, no. I think. Well, I don't. This will be interesting because this will be the first that I can remember or think of as somewhat of a celebrity, if you will, or from a celebrity's family that's done something like this. So it'll be interesting to see how their money or.
Well, I'm going to ask you, do you remember back in, I think, 2001 when, I think it was Ally McBeal's director, his son went on a killing spree with a car? Remember that being in the news?
No, I do not.
I'm going to have to disagree here with Stone Guy. Stone Guy, stars and their kids are nut jobs. I mean, you got.
No, I'm saying that with all the money and influence and the affiliations with news media, if they're going to be able to really.
The news media eats this up. I don't buy it.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. If it.
Well, there's no trial. They love trials. So like Phil Spector, OJ, all these stars that kill people, they love them in trials. But this kid's dead, so maybe they're leaving it alone. I don't know.
Well, if a star is in a trial, of course that goes under bad media as good media.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the old adage, isn't it? There's no bad publicity. God, I can't speak.
Yeah, there we go. So, and at this point, like in OJ's case, he was pretty much, after that all happened, was blackballed anyway from Hollywood. So they really didn't care if he was put through the ringer.
Yeah, he got blackballed. No more Naked Gun movies for him. His movie career was over. His movie career was over before he cut that lady's head off. But yeah, I don't think there was a high enough body count to make it worth it. I mean, now did somebody earlier say 2 people were shot and 1 person was run over?
Well, the biggest.
Well, 3 people machete, 3 people shot, 1 person run over, 13 or something wounded, and then the asshole offed himself.
Okay, so 3 people did die by the gun. Okay, that's what I was curious about. So he had equal number with the knife and the gun. So was it a machete, though?
Machete in their sleep is what I heard. Can you imagine something more horrible?
I could. I could imagine being awake for it. But I mean, yeah, that makes more sense because he was a scrawny little guy.
Well, that's what they were saying is how he was able to dispatch three people with a knife, and we were all given our different hypothesis on what how that could happen. But
yeah, I definitely don't think of a machete as a knife. I think of a machete as a crude sword.
Well, it's a blade. It's a knife. It's just sharp.
I could see how the news media wouldn't know the difference.
Oh no, I guess that's the way. But as soon as if somebody says machete, I know it's not And you know what you think of as a knife, and if somebody says sword, I know that's not what you think of as a knife or a machete. Although Cold Steel does blur the lines with machetes, but machete swords.
Robbie makes a good point. Have you noticed? He says, "Have you noticed who the villains in movies are lately? You don't see terrorists from the Middle East. You see corporations and powerful white men." I don't know. I mean, there's always been powerful white men, but definitely the corporations are always, there's always some greed. It's always the financial greed that's the root of everything, and then that ruins the pollution, or that creates pollution, and then everyone suffers, I guess.
And I will draw one correlation. The Navy Yard shooter, that one got a short press life too, and I think that's because it didn't fit the general narrative. Because these last two, the Navy Yard and the Santa Barbara one, they were so crazy and had so many run-ins with the laws, but still had clearance to get in the Navy Yard and still had clearance to work where they did, and military thing. And then this kid was the son of a director and was going to the therapist. It just doesn't match what they want. They want someone who has an AR and goes out and snaps and stuff. But when you see how crazy these kids are, it's so, or these two individuals were, you're sitting there going, who dropped the ball on this? Because these guys were really nuts, and a lot of people knew it.
Well, that's what I heard. I heard that this kid had been checked out a couple times, and there again, I don't know if it was just with his parents being as affluential as they are. I don't know if they were able to hide it or sweep it under the rug, or just throw money at it.
His parents sent the cops one of the times. They called the cops and said, he's posting stuff on YouTube saying he's going to hurt himself. We need you to go check on him.
Now, I didn't watch the rant because I refused to, but I've heard that he also threatens to kill his parents and his dad and his stepmother, right? Or is that correct?
Whatever he put on YouTube that he took down before the cops got there, but before this incident happened, he put some stuff up on YouTube a couple weeks ago, or a week ago, or 2 weeks, and the parents saw it and were so concerned, they called the police and said, we need you to go talk to our son. And that's when they did the wellness check, and he talked his way out of it and said, oh, blah, 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 and I guess he took down the videos so the cops didn't see them and know to take him in and arrest him. But that's when he speaks in his manifesto about worrying about the cops searching his room and finding his plans and ending it all,
No, the video I saw was basically him just not understanding how he could be as old as he is and never have had sexual relations with a woman, never held a hand, even I think even goes as far as saying he never even kissed a girl. And I mean, the guy, but then again, in the way it was presented, he was very I don't know how to like full of himself, like very narcissistic in a way, because he was like, I'm perfect, look at me, I'm a great looking guy, and I see these fat slobs walking with these beautiful women, and I can't understand why they won't give me the time of day. And so it's pretty eerie considering what you know after the fact, you know what I mean? Like going back and watching it in hindsight, it's pretty scary.
Well, I mean, you can kind of see also when you watch him talk, because I did my morbid curiosity, I wanted to do a video on it, so I did watch him just to get more information. But he's nuts. I mean, he's flat out narcissistic, crazy-eyed, looks at you like he's a predator, and then he gets shy around girls too. So it's just the fact is the reason he's never been able to have a successful relationship with a woman is probably because they can tell he's crazy, But the problem is how I understand. I know people who have mental problems. I know people who have issues with anger and things like that. But just in my brain, none of these people threaten to kill people. I mean, that's when it steps over the line. When you start threatening to kill people, make videos and post them on YouTube, somebody should have the ability to take you into custody when you start threatening to kill people and posting it on YouTube or other social media sites where they can see it's you, like you're saying it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know. Given that he's done all that, it's easy to look back and say they should have done something. But shit, I guess at this point.
Well, okay. Let me put it this way. I was sitting here thinking in my brain, what else could this kid have done to get himself like put in an observation thing? Like you can be held. The police can arrest you, take you down, and have you mentally evaluated for I think maybe 72 hours. Right?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
what could this kid have done more to get that done? And I mean, I'm sitting there. If somebody came to me before this happened and said, what do you think would cause someone to be detained like that for 72 hours? I'd be like, well, if they're running around threatening to kill people, like shouting it out in public and the police heard it, or, if, I don't know, they made videos saying explicitly how they were going to go and kill people, I think that'd be plenty of evidence to take people in, but obviously it's not in California.
Well, I think
what do you got to do?
Yeah, their mental health facilities would just be full of people that are on 72-hour holds in California. But I do want to cover this one thing real quick that Nathan brought up before, the Naval Yard shooting out in Virginia, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Virginia or Maryland? I thought it was Maryland, D.C.
Oh, maybe it was Maryland, D.C., one of those. But the reason it didn't get a whole bunch of coverage very long was because of the weapon use. And that's because Joe Biden and the president, were advocating shotguns. And they can't put a black eye on shotguns. I mean, that would be just so hypocritical for them to be, in that spotlight saying, use a shotgun, and then come out against shotguns.
Well, they went after his mental state. You really didn't hear as much about the gun on that incident.
Well, it's funny because I watched as that incident unfolded and listened to them talk about how they had intel that it was a quote assault rifle he was using, and like for the full first day they were talking about it, and then after the fact when they actually saw the videos and started looking at it, then all of a sudden when it became an African American guy with a shotgun who had clearance to be there and who had a background of being basically schizophrenic that people knew about, that's when their story fell apart. They had so many holes in their story that didn't fit the narrative that they're trying to portray that they just had to drop coverage on it. If it doesn't fit the storyline, we can't run with it.
Well, that's par for the course with media in general.
Yeah, so this guy in California, it's horrible what he did, but he only used a handgun. He used a knife to kill some people. He ran some people over with his car. So it really was only a one-day news event. The carnage wasn't high enough, and the weapon used wasn't right enough for them to keep covering it.
So, Tack Daddy, are you still with us?
Yes, sir.
So what's I know you read a lot about the potential backlash that bills and such, but what's your opinion on that? We never really got your opinion on what you think is going to happen.
I think you're going to see a lot of people looking for glory that see this as an easy ticket, depending on which side of the aisle they're on. At the same time, it's the same names, There's no new superhero charging to the front saying, I used to be against this and now I really support it. I haven't heard anything like that. It's just the same people saying, see, we said before you had to change this and you didn't, and look what happened now. How many people have let's put the narrative out there. you want to talk about, how many people have died since Sandy Hook, at the hands of a handgun. Let's talk about how many people have saved themselves or saved a family member or chased out a would-be asshole that had bad intentions in the same time frame. Let's do that comparison number. So
Well,
It seems like we need to change it from like, I hate to say it now because obviously people are mourning, but change it from all these poor victims to I'm angry. Why should we allow this to happen? We're free people. Why should a one bad guy come in and be able to do this?
yeah,
How do we make that change, to I guess all those people in the middle who don't think about it until it's forced on them.
hey, I think your comment about the sorority supporting it would be very interesting to put out there. And
Like
see
having
what the
sorority
response
shooting
is.
teams where then they can bring their like pistols, let's say, home with them and campus carry, and so that they're doing some kind of competition and getting better and having the camaraderie, and then like you say, it's not embarrassing to have a pistol in their dorm rooms.
Yeah,
And then
well, I hate to say it, but
that's easy picking. They'll
Yeah,
think the opposite. He'll never go near there.
I hate to say it, but I think that that would go to their national representatives and whoever was on the board there or in charge there and whatever, again, background. I think they're not going to take very much time in this heated environment to consider other things. I think they're going to go with what they've been programmed with, which is guns are bad. Guns kill those girls that were part of a sorority. We're a sorority, da-da-da.
Are there conservative sororities and like more liberal conservative
That's a great question.
sororities? I don't know. Hey, Stone, read the side chat for a second.
Yeah, I would definitely not know about sororities.
What?
How about fraternities?
Well, they're
Are they
political.
conservative and liberal, or are they just
Yeah.
all party? I mean, they're not all just party things, right? There's ones that are studious, and there's ones that are party ones, and there's ones that are science, right? I mean, they've
No,
got themes to them, don't they?
Hold
I'm
on.
going to say what I know about sororities comes from Revenge of the Nerds.
Okay. Betty, you're like a goat. All right, so anyway,
I saw that documentary.
it's an awesome movie. It's one of my favorite. You have fraternities that party, but they're all really centered around camaraderie and brotherhood. Many of them have philanthropic arms. In fact, all of them do. I've never heard of any of them being for an organization that supports firearms. That's really interesting to think about.
I mean, I don't understand it. There's all these Facebook things, and there's been posters and stuff, but the people that are on the we have to say liberal, because what else are you going to say? People on the liberal side are really all about having choices and this and the rights and everything. So why do they decide not to have this the right to protect themselves or the freedom to defend themselves? I don't understand why that is so removed. Why that particular item doesn't even get on the agenda.
Well, and I'm pissed because we go back to the whole gun-free zone thing. I don't know the specifics of that campus or whatever, but I'm assuming it's in California. I'm assuming there was pretty strict.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
Any,
I got to assume it's a gun-free zone, because if it wasn't, then the media would be all over that. Like, oh, there was, this kid was allowed to have guns on campus or something. And they're not going to talk about how he brought them illegally onto the campus, because that would, illustrate or shed light on the fact that criminals don't obey laws, amazingly. Speaking of criminals.
As long as no one from that area.
oh God,
Your area.
we
Just
had
got real.
digital prophets just join us.
I'm gonna make your lame ass chat cooler than hell because y'all chat's been lame. But all right, speaking of what G Webs just said, the reason why you can't is because those people don't buy the statistic that you're more likely to defend yourself than actually harm someone. They believe that there's more harm than benefit with firearms in the general public, and
All they see is accidents in the dorm or in the sorority house or whatever.
Exactly.
Well, that's what I've said many times before. Is that's all we ever hear from the media is all the bad stuff. We never hear about the positives with how many people have saved their lives of a loved one, or prevented a home invasion, or and I think that's the media. The media should be to blame for the way that firearms are perceived in this country.
Well, let's remember that the new media, i.e., this and other outlets, has only really been on the scene for 5 or 10 years at the most, and that has to be changing because even though they're beating their drumbeat, there's other people that are not even listening or tuning into that drumbeat anymore.
Yeah, but are we going to
even though
fool
this
our?
stuff's been around, it hasn't really gotten its legs. Now we're finally figuring out that we can do something with this medium, and we can use these pipelines to communicate and not just entertain each other.
But are we really reaching as many people as a mainstream media resource can?
Maybe not yet, but we're mobilizing to do that.
I was just about to add, I mean, like, if you take, like, the best story of anti-gun defense, and I've probably seen it last year, I mean, you guys remember that movie, that YouTube video of the woman with the high-point carbine who ran outside and shot the guys that were trying to break into her video? How many hits do you think that video has? Probably not as much as this story has, and it's probably just as dramatic. It's probably just as good as a 50-50 waiver to measure up to this tragic story.
Well, it's inspirational as opposed to this filth, which is just shining a light on this psychopath so that the next psychopath has something to shoot for to be better. Not better.
I'm not talking about
worse
motivation.
than.
I'm talking about more of actual raw numbers as far as who saw it and why. You know what I'm saying? Like who actually got to see that.
Sure.
Well, I'm also being facetious here, but at the same time, more people tune into the new Jenna Marbles video because that's entertaining and gets them away from having to think about critical issues.
True, and they're allowed to. People
Answer
enjoy
that.
themselves. Right?
I'm subscribed to Jenna Marbles.
I know you are.
Dude, you used to go to Singapore? She went out on stage, those people went crazy.
Yeah, she's big time, man.
Oh, yeah. She's got an open invite to the after chat.
And for someone, I've tried to get her onto a chat. She won't do it.
You really hit up Jenna Marbles? That's funny.
She always jumps into ours after they go off air.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. She's. I mean, I've got a response from her, which was cool, but she wasn't interested. Dude, she's like.
The response was a restraining order.
She sicked one of her little chihuahuas on you.
Okay, so I just checked. You know the video where the old guy shoots the two robbers down in Florida? That's been out for a year. Has 150,000 hits. I go and type in Santa Barbara shooter, and that video of him talking in the Beamer has over 500,000 hits in 3 days?
No, it's got to be more than 500,000, bro.
Type in
Well,
Charles.
it's 560,000 on that one video. So yeah, this kid has way more hits on a YouTube video than that old guy after 1 year.
Well, of course. I mean, it happened in Hollywood, It happened in a place where things are already sensationalized by nature.
But I'm just saying that the media, no one ever promotes these pro-gun stories or these videos, even though they're great. I mean, like that old guy, that was the best video, man. It cracked me up. I'm like, they should show that on a media outlet because that's entertainment. But the entertainment doesn't match the story they want to put out. That's why we see all these local news stories about gun owners protecting themselves, but it never makes the national headlines because they're against it. How do you convince everyone in America guns are bad? You never tell a positive story about them.
Well, I think it's a combination of both, of both national media attention and how long it stays in national media attention. I mean, because even if it makes national media attention and it's only there for a weekend or a day, that doesn't mean as much if it's there for a week, a month. How long was Newtown in the news cycle? 3 months, 4 or 5 months?
That's a good question. Has anyone found someone who's done the research to see how long these things stay on the front burner, or how much attention they're given to these things as they happen? Because it'd be great to hear that they're dwindling. Like you're saying, maybe they did 3 weeks to this one, a week to this one, a few days to the next one. That'd be great. Because at some point, don't you think the general public's going to get sick of this stuff?
Well, and it seems to be the less victims, the less coverage, and that's pretty fucking sad to think that the media, has some type of prerequisite for how much attention they're going to give something based on the body count.
Dude, my first thought was, how many times has someone killed 3 people in any of the more urban areas in that state that does not get nearly the attention.
Well, I mean, like, there's three major
Totally
factors. There's three major factors. Age, specifically talking about children. 2, sex. If it's a female that gets murdered, it's always better. And, you know, when there's a missing child, it's, as far as what makes the news, it's 90% a white child who makes it on the news. So you got three major factors that add up to there, whether they're a child, whether they're a female, and race does play a part in it.
Are the funerals planned for this week, I take it?
Probably.
Knows. But I actually had a question in the gun channels chat earlier, which was, okay, so we ourselves as our community in gun channels, is Nathan frozen or does he just look like that normally? Oh no, he's not.
That's how I normally look.
But yeah, so the question that I asked was, we ourselves as the gun owner community, we always say, you know, it's mental health, it's mental health, it's mental health. One, do we care, or would we like to see the NRA actually back a mental health law? And 2, do we actually throw support at it? Because I don't see it, like, I mean, like, every time we point at mental health, how many times do you actually see the NRA actually support it, or we as a gun community actually support for such a bill to get passed?
Well, I think if the news media were to lead off with NRA, that's just gonna tune people out. So people out even before a measure of mental health would be against it as soon as they heard the word NRA.
Well, am I remembering wrong? But didn't when Biden, I don't remember if it was Obama and Biden, but when Biden had those like meetings in the beginning of 2012, and he brought in the media and like Hollywood first, and then he brought in some gun manufacturer or something. You know, he brought in these groups. Didn't the NRA at that point do something about the mental state of these people? Or
but did they? I mean, like, for as many senators like as they have in their pocket, I'm pretty sure they could hit some senator up and be like, "Hey, draft me a bill." Or the NRA could draft their own bill. I mean, like, they're a lobby organization. This is what they do. They write and push for bills.
Well, all right, then let's be accurate if we're going to say this. It's the NRA-ILA that is a lobbyist organization. The NRA, we're just perpetrating or regurgitating the stereotype or whatever of the NRA. They're not the part of the entity that does that. It's the NRA-ILA.
I'm going to say this, and I get it, and I understand it, but at the same time, it does frustrate me that by default, everyone that thinks gun owner lumps it into the NRA. When that guy Martinez is saying it's the NRA's fault, I know that the average American out there that finds out that I'm a gun owner or whatever immediately says, "Oh, you're one of those NRA guys."
Yeah.
That is all.
No, it's true, and it's frustrating, but it's an easy target, and I think it's the same thing as the two sides of the coin with Democrats and Republicans. Yankee said it before, that the NRA is more than happy to continue on this back and forth. You know, they'd love to hear that they're the voice of all gun owners when we already know. They just had their annual meeting. What they keep saying, 7 million members? They kept saying it was either 7 or 5. I think it was 7 million members. Well, we know there's threefold more than that gun owners, at least.
Yeah, it's not even the majority of gun owners are NRA members.
No, something like a third. And we know that most of those are the old guys that are, well, old white guys that have some money, for the most part. Not that that's a bad thing, but that just happens to be where those guys can, get together, maybe out of tradition or whatever. But, at some point, something else is going to become bigger. Hopefully it'll be something like just, the internet gun community as a general thing, if you can do something unorganized like that as a general thing.
I actually told that stat to somebody, and they felt kind of stupid, rather, because they were like, "Oh, well, the NRA is the one that prevents all these, anti-gun laws from going through." And I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? There's only 5 million people in the NRA. What are you talking about? And then at the end of it, by the time I broke it down, like how many gun owners there really are, how many NRA members they are, and 5 million people out of 160 million voters, ain't shit.
Well, I'll disagree with you a little bit on that. And 5 million voters who will actually vote is pretty big. That every national election for the past few decades has been decided by far less.
Okay, yes, but then, you understand how, on average, how many people vote per presidential election? It's about 100 million. So you're talking about 5%.
Yeah, and usually the
Name
presidential
another.
comes down to 1% or less.
But yeah,
Pro-life,
name another group
pro-life
of
or
people
pro-choice,
that are.
or pro-life and pro-choice. I'd probably say have about the same number.
5
And you
million on
don't
each
see
side.
them
You're
passing
saying?
laws on that either, do you?
Let's not forget who's making decisions on the board meetings at the NRA either. It's not you. It's not the average member. It's not the average guy that's there. It's not even the guy who contributes to committees. It's top of the heap, big dollar. Big dollar.
Big
So
dollar in the gun
you're
industry,
telling
though.
me really rich people who give more money than I do have more influence than me?
A
I
lot.
wonder what other organizations, like every political organization on earth, does that.
Mm-hmm.
But they do want to get all the money out of their lower members, so they do still keep us scared and paying.
Well, they need to change a couple things. One is, I think at this point, Ted Nugent being the face is not I don't want to say played out, but
Well, they tried to put Colin Noir as the face, but that didn't play out as well as they hoped.
well, we'll see. Jury's out there.
Well, I wouldn't say the face, a new face of many,
Yeah.
right? Of
Yeah.
at least 6 or something. So it's one of the new faces, which
I'm
is a
actually-
good. At least it's a different strategy. At least it's progressive. Is that okay to use that word?
I do like their use of him to show that not every NRA member is a white redneck.
No, there's one black guy in the NRA.
Yeah, they're token black guy. Just like the GOP's got one or two.
What's his song title that's got Poontang in it?
Cat Scratch Fever, maybe?
No, it's like Slam Bang Bing.
Oh, you're talking about Nugent. Wham Bam something?
Slam Bam, Sweet Poontang or something.
That was a
Classic.
little before my time. We need Edge. Where's Edge when we need him for some 80s or 70s?
So Wham Bang, Sweet Poontang,
It's
Alex?
listening to it.
We have the power of Google. If we really need to know, we can find out.
No, that's what it is. I've seen Sweaty Teddy.
Now, the NRA, one of the reasons that I still give money and support them is because they do stand against any new gun law now, which in the past they didn't always do that. They would just stand against the ones that affected hunting and stuff. Now they stand against all of them. And people kind of look at me and they go, well, why would you support an organization that won't even compromise or listen? And my retort to that is the side that's against firearm owners doesn't want to compromise. They don't want to make laws that make sense. For as much as they say, let's make sensible gun laws, that's just like Fox News saying fair and balanced. It's bullshit. Sorry, pardon my French. But I mean, go ahead.
No, it's a good point. Why ain't that?
They're
So
not
Fox,
They're not interested in passing a law that makes sense. They're interested in passing any laws that will further restrict our rights, and they'll take anything they can get, and they'll work their way up all the way to full disarmament. And we know that, and enough of them have foolishly admitted to it, like Feinstein and some of the other ones, so we know they're in game. So having an organization that stands against any forward step to their end game is, I like it.
Well, kind of back to my original question is, would you guys be okay with the NRA pushing for a mental health law?
You mean if the NRA said people with mental health issues shouldn't have firearms, and we should force all mental health institution and doctors to release that information to the NICS background check?
See, I don't know if I would. See, I just don't know how I would word it. Or
No.
But that's the gist of what they want.
Somebody in the chat, I forget who, I'm sorry, but somebody in the chat said, do we need more laws? Like, no, I don't want to see them petition for more damn laws. I mean, again, it's tough to say this stuff, but I'll say it because whatever, I'm gonna. But it's tough to say this stuff after a horrible event like this, but this is one horrible event. 350 million people didn't do shit yesterday, or the day before that, and in a nation of something this size, every once in a while something bad's going to happen. I don't think we need a bunch of laws in overreaction to the actions of a crazy dude. If you want to, scrutinize, the specifics of every little thing, that's great. But then if we react to every single thing, how long before we have laws where we can't do anything anymore?
I mean, yeah, I'm with G-Webs on this because I don't think they can effectively do it. I mean, what we need to focus on is getting more and better support into our mental health system, because right now all that's going on is they're prescribing a pill and letting the nut jobs back out on the street is really what the focus is, and they're not concerned with what they're going to do when it all comes down to it. They don't have any money to keep them housed a lot of times, so we really aren't getting the people the help they need. And by the way, a person who takes 10 months to plan his day of retribution is not going to be stopped by a better background check. Come on, he's going to find a way to do something horrible if he plans it for 10 months.
Can I butt in here just for a minute?
Sure, what's up?
Sure.
Well, I just wanted to put my 2 cents in on some changes since the 60s in regards to medication and mental health. Today they treat them until they're theoretically stable, and then they release them with the assumption that they will continue to take their medication. There is no legal way to continue to force them to take the medication. It is very common thinking with multiple diagnoses. When they start to feel better, they convince themselves they are better, and they no longer need the medication, and they stop taking it. Back in the 60s, you could still force somebody to take their medication whether you chose to or not. Now, I'm not saying that's an optimal solution, because that has some real serious pitfalls. But I think what we're seeing is the pitfalls of doing the opposite. That's it.
I was just thinking, is it possible that the scrutiny, that seems like they, whatever, media, powers that be, whatever, don't want to scrutinize on the mental health thing, which we all think is, quite obvious, because it has something to do with, the lack of or the poor implementation of Obamacare? Or would it, then fall on Obamacare to be partially responsible for the fact that, his system was supposed to be there for everybody failed these people? Yeah. And not to mention, more importantly, you know what, I feel a little bit sorry for a crazy guy, right? But I feel more sorry for the people that were victims of the crazy guy. So right. Obamacare seems to have failed those 6 people through right. that one crazy guy, if that's a politically correct way to say it.
This has been a failed system since the laws changed in the late 60s. I mean, it's been an ongoing thing. It just, for political agendas, media-driven things, it's getting a lot more in the news.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm going to agree with Dano. It used to be that if you were a crazy mother effer, they locked you up.
Yeah.
And they gave you medications, and if they let you out, they kept you under observation. Maybe you stayed in a halfway house. But they had ways of making sure that you weren't going to hurt other people or try to keep you from hurting yourself. They don't do that anymore. The political correctness that's seeped into our society says, you know what, now that they're feeling better, let them out and everything will be hunky-dory and good. They used to not think that way. It's a change in our American perspective that is allowing these things. And the fact that we prescribe mind-altering drugs to everyone, and you're going to get a backlash on certain people where it negatively affects them. And usually they just kill themselves, but in this case, it's a murder-suicide plot that went on. I mean, when the pill actually says if you have feelings of committing suicides, talk to your doctor or stop taking it, Yeah.
I do have to say what happened in California was a tragedy, yes. But how many people died by drunk drivers over the weekend? How many were shot in, gang-related activity and died?
How many people were killed in Chicago that weekend? Probably just as many but it didn't make any news because they were the wrong
I
color.
was just going to go look that fact up to see how many were actually killed in Chicago over Memorial Day weekend compared to how many were killed in California, during the rampage, which was 6. I don't call it the asshole who does the shooting.
And those
Memorial
sorts of
Day weekend
numbers-
is a big weekend for murders in Chicago, as
It
every
is.
year.
And
I
it's
can tell
beautiful weather.
Labor
too.
Day's even bigger, actually.
in the Chicago
It's super hot
paper,
by then.
in the Chicago papers, that sort of information, those numbers are not even page 1, page 2, or page 3 information. It is literally buried. And yet, these are Chicago papers. So if it's not covered by Chicago papers, why would a national media carry it?
Well, because only AARP members like you actually read the paper. Everyone else goes on the internet.
Well, I'm using that as an example. We'll go online to ChicagoTribune.com.
Yeah, what do you think it's on the front page of their website? I mean, come on.
It was a jab at Dano.
Oh no, that's okay. I understand.
Oh.
And that's cool, but I'm just saying that just as much
totally
as we need to pay
I
attention
agree.
to new media, we still need to not at least totally forget about old media because it's still there, and those people vote a lot. I mean, the old timers. That's kind of, I don't want to say what they live to do, but they really like getting out there and voting in large numbers, percentage
Well,
wise.
they're more civic. Yeah, they grew up with that being a bigger part of their life, right?
Right.
Nowadays, like everything's owed to you, but you don't have to participate. You don't have to be responsible for it. It's just owed to you, and you can complain when you don't get what you feel is owed to you.
Right. Your only participation is to sign up for the program of your choosing.
Okay, if I can find a better site that'll actually just, say how many were killed over the weekend, but
That's not real research.
the week in progress. This is 5/25 to 5/31, and I'm looking here. 7 shot and killed, 45 shot and wounded, 8 total homicides.
That was in
just
one
this
day.
week. That's just this week so far, Sunday to Thursday.
How many was it?
8 total, but 45 actually shot and injured.
And wounded, yeah.
So that's a lot, dude. I mean, that's crazy.
How many people in the city? 5 million people? 2 million people?
They're right around 2.5.
And you would think those sorts of numbers would be a big story, but it's not, because we've become, I say we as in the people in the Chicago area, not just Chicago proper, have become numb to it.
Well, it's all
And that's sad.
gang-on-gang shootings and assaults. and-
That doesn't explain the numbness to it. You know what I'm saying? Regardless, you're still.
Oh,
talking
it does.
about a human
It does
being.
for me. I
Nah,
can
you're still
care less
talking
if they
about
fucking
human-
kill themselves.
It's a human being, bro. You're talking about a human
No,
being.
no.
You're
Fuck
talking about a
that.
human being.
But-
You're talking about
but-
life. That's
If
still
it's
somebody's
some guy-
child.
That's bullshit. Because those kind of thug-ass gang members that put themselves in that situation and they go out night after night gunning for each other, they deserve what they get.
So every
That's-
criminal puts himself in that situation.
Hold on. Now, Stone Guy, there are innocent.
Oh,
people
I'm
who
not
get
talking about
targeted,
innocent.
too.
I'm
He
not
just
talking
said
about
the
innocent.
ones that are like going out intentionally to do the bad shit, not the
Well,
ones
well,
getting
there's-
caught in the
there's-
crossfire.
There's 2 people dying there. There's the gang member on gang member violence, and I'm kind of with Stone Guy in the sense that those who live by the sword die by the sword. But then again, there's collateral damage where they're robbing old ladies.
Well,
and
yeah, obviously I'm not
Well,
in
yeah,
favor of
come on.
collateral
But the
damage.
fact is,
words
it's only
in his
going to make
mouth.
the news is if one of them goes and tries to take out a sorority house. You know,
Well, yeah, but that was totally not what we were talking about. We were talking about being numb to the fact of gang-on-gang violence, and that's what I was speaking to. That if I really don't have sympathy for the active gang members that seek out that behavior. They seek out rival gangs and they go gunning for each other at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's on them.
Well, aren't you sad that society failed them?
That's a whole other,
My sadness is for the people that have to live in those neighborhoods and live in that city in constant fear of something happening to them by one of these people that our society has totally failed.
Well, that is true because you've got, I mean, especially up in here in Atlanta. I mean, there's big, like Section 8 housing, what we call it, like the projects, and it is that you've got an element of people that truly just can't afford to live anywhere else, that are good, hardworking people. They go to work. They want to just enjoy their life and live like
Maybe
everybody
they own
else.
property there and they don't want to move. I wouldn't want to move if my neighborhood turned into crap. I would stay and try to turn the neighborhood around again.
Yeah, or that could be the case too. But more, like you're saying, society failed. You got people that are, for whatever reason, they don't have any other alternative but to live in the government subsidies,
Well,
subsidized housing, and
it's
then
a
you have
vicious cycle.
gangs.
Once they get into it, getting out is difficult.
Right. Well, then you have the gangs that come in all around them, and they really trap these people. And like you said, then you have people that are living in fear, and they're scared to talk. They won't talk to police. They won't talk to anybody. You know damn well they know what's going down and what happened, but they won't talk because they have to live there.
You got to
I
realize
will
usually in
go
those
ahead and say a
places,
couple
there's a lot more.
controversial things. One is their immediate family has failed them. Two, and I don't mean this is in everyone. I just mean in their local area, their culture has failed them because their culture has not allowed them to seek other avenues of thinking. Because many of them, meaning the ones that obviously choose this lifestyle, think that this is the only way they can be successful.
Well, here's something else about, like, if a woman gets pregnant and her significant other doesn't want anything to do with her, the kid, and she's gonna have the kid, she almost ends up having to go into that Section 8 type housing because she can't afford anything else having a kid like that. And then you have women who are, basically stuck there having kids, and then the kids have no male role models. So what do? They go and join a gang when they hit adolescence to get those older male role models. And it's just a vicious cycle. Bad things happen, and they can't ever dig themselves out of that situation.
All right, I just found the numbers.
All
This
right,
is
I've lived
from
in
an article.
ghettos, so I mean, people can get out of stuff.
Okay, well, I just got the numbers just for those curious.
I lived in
This
the
is
ghetto and I got
just
out.
Friday through.
York got out of his ghetto.
Yeah, this is Friday through Sunday. There were
You know how
actually
I got out? I moved. No, I'm just kidding.
Catch you later, Texas.
there were no people killed Friday. It was actually 42 hours, which is like the longest streak in Chicago for quite a while. 42 hours between killings in Chicago. So Friday there was nobody, but Saturday and Sunday they had six shot and killed, 10 wounded, and this does not actually contain Memorial Day either. So probably another couple on there. Actually, I just found it. Actually, yeah, on Memorial Day itself, there were a whole bunch. 10 were shot and wounded. Looks like 2 were killed, and I don't know what the orange, and 1 other homicide. So there are a total of 9 over the weekend. 9 murders over the weekend. And like 20
And where was that?
injuries. Chicago.
All right, well, Prophet, one of the things that you were saying in the chat earlier before you joined in was that enough complaining about the thing, more solutions. So I'm always about that. Do we have solutions to this besides, just acknowledging that we all kind of agree that this is a bad situation at the
Let's put it
moment?
like this. I wouldn't say a mental health law on how to obtain guns, but how we actually, what Nathan said earlier was a great answer. And honestly, since the 60s, we have a fifth less, like a fifth of the amount of people in mental lockup are actually in mental lockup now, and our population has grown by like 25% in the last since like the late 60s. So we should have even more people in mental lockup, and we don't. So I think a law specifically on mental health and how they are treated and how they are kept off the streets in general. I would say just the process of mental judification has been slowed and altered, and that is what we need to pick up, because that will also trickle in, I think, into how they obtain weapons, and for example, that would expand the NICS background check if it was easier for them to be mentally adjudicated.
So are you for that?
I am for more people being actually held off the streets when they have a severe mental problem. Because put like this kid's 22 years old. His parents can't put him in there. The police officers couldn't put him in there. There should have been a psychiatrist. As soon as the psychiatrist said, "Oh no, he has problems," and as soon as the psychiatrist saw the YouTube video, the psychiatrist should have been able to lock him up, because somebody already sent him to a psychiatrist.
I hear what you're saying in this case, and I don't think anybody's going to, dispute you in a situation that's 20/20, hindsight type of thing, or after the fact. But I mean, I don't really want to live in a place where some doctor, without any kind of,
that's a slippery
you're
slope.
not appointed or sworn, or what kind of, if it's somebody who doesn't have anybody to watch out for them, somebody who's out there by themselves, or maybe, with just people that don't have the resources, their family might not have the resources or the wherewithal to defend it. Do we want to have a place where, okay, well, you've been deemed, and obviously I know that that's a hypothetical, but don't we already live in a country where we have more people incarcerated than any other freaking country or something, or at least other civilized countries they like to compare us with? But what I'm saying, I could just see the abuse there in the name of, good, like for the children or whatever, we're going to lock people up that are crazy, because how far away is it from, how many guns do you have? Well, I don't think that's crazy. Why would you have that many guns? You have how many magazines? That's crazy. How much ammo? Oh, definitely. That's 3 strikes. You're gone. And now we can throw all these guns in an incinerator, but take all your property and sell it, and support the crazy home that you now live in. And, oh, well, we're not going to pay attention to how you live in there, because obviously you're crazy. So, big deal if you're not getting 100% of what you need.
Great valid points. I don't know what to say. So that's that's why we're talking about here, coming up with solutions.
I hear you. I'm here to tear down solutions, but
well, here's we live in an imperfect world, and
no, I'm willing to live in a world where every once in a while something horrible happens, and then we get stronger from it, and we learn that there's times to appreciate the stuff that we have when it's awesome, and to be sad when it's horrible. And then I guess, obviously I don't want it to be a world where we're having car bombs and stuff either, so I don't know. I think we're doing pretty good now, though, is all I'm saying. I know it's the tendency is to react, and obviously we're talking about this rationally. There's probably people that are, just ruling about how we should get rid of guns because of this, but, honestly, this was just one incident. Again, 350 million people in this country didn't do anything weird yesterday or the day before that, or their entire lifetimes.
All right, well, let me ask you this, and Stone Guy, you chime in on this. If, let's just say that was my best friend, right, and I saw him put out a video like that, I'm like, oh, shit, I'm sending this to the police right now. And I walk up to my local police station with my laptop, like, sign on their Wi-Fi. I'm like, yo, check out my best friend, right? And they're like, yo, he is bugging. Can the police run out and go arrest him and put him in 72-hour lockup?
If he is verbally threatened.
There's a YouTube video, but when you get to his house, he plays you off. He's like, nah, that joke was a joke. I was just laughing. Don't believe what you see on the internet.
Yeah, it would be up to the discretion of the officer. Technically, if you've threatened suicide, you can be placed on a 72-hour hold. Okay.
Well, basically, so if I would have showed the cop there, they probably could have taken his ass. And if they would have taken his ass, what's the difference? He would have been locked up for 3 days, and then he had to see a judge to see if he gets out.
Well, we all have 100% confidence in cops, and since there's no problems with cops, I think that we might as well throw a little bit more burden on their shoulders. Now they get to deem who's, is and isn't crazy. And just meeting them when they walk up to the door, let's let cops be responsible for that too, right?
But I think the combination of a psychiatrist and a cop, like you put them both together in a team, It works.
That's
Oh,
right.
there you go. Like, good guy is the cop because he's a cop, and Bob is basically an internet expert, so he could be the psychiatrist, the Canadian psychiatrist, and the cop.
Yeah, you know he'll talk his ear off.
Something I'd like to share with you
They're
guys.
wacky, but they'll send you to jail.
In my younger days, I worked
think
for about.
Bob is a tad too tall to be in a
Hold
television
on.
show.
Goddamn, just talk
Yeah,
right
why don't you
over
speak right over
Dano.
Dano?
All right, Dano, go ahead.
Okay. Back in my 20s, for about a year, I worked in a psychiatric hospital. Okay, I, similar to Yankee, have a degree in psychology. That's why I did what I did. Anyway, one of the reasons for the hold is it's hard for someone who has the more severe the psychiatric disorder. It's like holding your breath. The harder it is to act normal, the more time that goes by. So whether it's 24 hours or 48 hours or 72 hours, at some point, if they're trying to hold it together just to get out, it gets harder and harder for them to pretend to be normal.
Yeah, like they twitch. Like you're gonna see the twitch.
Yeah, exactly. It will start oozing out in their behavior one way or another. Now, obviously, some people can hold their breath longer than others. So it's not a perfect system, but there is a method to that kind of madness of why do we hold them for 24? Why not 48? Because it's the holding the breath concept. Because if you truly have a mental disorder that is serious, sooner or later it will start to show itself. That's all I got.
Well said.
And then again, there's people that are, maybe I don't want to call it sick or unhealthy or whatever, but again, there's tons of people that aren't 100% on top of things, and how many of them are actually going out and doing this kind of crazy, crazy, crazy stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know a lot of people that are seriously mentally ill that are extremely not violent. And that's something that I realize the general public doesn't necessarily, maybe they get it, maybe they don't, I don't know, but it's something I happen to know. Like right now, I'm no longer involved with the psychiatric hospital aspect of it, but I've been involved for about 4.5 years now with the homeless, and which is got a large proportion of, again, people with serious mental untreated conditions. So anyway, that are not, again, I'm gonna put this out there again, that are not violent. Yeah, they're serious, but not violent. And I would just hate to see that the two get confused as to a mental illness, whether it be moderate or severe, equals violent, because it does not.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's like all diseases being deadly. No, they aren't. And it's that slippery slope thing that I think as a society is a way of panicking over, well, what do? We got to do something. We got to do something. That would be a concern of mine of something that society, in order to protect itself, might overstretch and suddenly pull something like that.
Yeah, we're too used to having a pill to make it all better.
Right.
Oh, here, let's just take this and make it all better. Here's a quick fix, and it'll make it all better.
Right. I mean, I'll use a simple example that's been around for tens of thousands of years, depending upon your religious persuasion. But it's simply called the baby blues, and it's been going. It's moms have been. It's not a new phenomenon. It's just that we've come to have a better understanding of it, and it's not. And it's just that. Where am I trying to go with this exactly? We just view it differently because we know a little bit more about it, and we're actually willing to admit that it exists because there's so much shame involved in saying, number one, I need help, and two, there's something not quite right. But it's something that, like a disease, can be treated, and in some cases, with therapy, can literally be permanently resolved.
Hey, G-Webs, I never knew you wanted to take down the evil prescription corporation.
Wait, what?
I never knew you wanted to take down the evil drug corporation.
Like the drug corporations?
Yeah, like the prescription corporations.
When did I say that? I'm trying to look for the girl with the barrel right now. Sorry.
Nah, because
The
you
one
were
in the
talking
middle?
about not prescribing people medicine.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
What? No, I think you misinterpreted. Because I mean, yeah, I rage against the use of prescription medicines as a quick fix, but I guess that's, you mean when I said like were you so used to a pill to fix things?
I always look at pills as non-solutions, but rather like a tool without a solution. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't believe you could cure someone's permanent back pain with opiate,
With an
you know, like
aspirin,
with
to make the pain go away.
yeah, with fucking opioids. Like, here, I can help your back pain as long as you're dependent on this drug for the rest of your life. You know?
That's why it's called a treatment and not a cure.
Exactly. Like, that's what I mean. Like, I see it as a treatment, but not a cure. Well,
I mean, just like antidepressive medication, treatment, not a cure.
exactly. Like, that's what I mean.
Insulin, treatment, not a cure.
Well,
I
on that
lost the
note,
picture. Hold on, it's there. Oh, bad.
on that note, yeah, I think I'm gonna cut it off. I gotta get to bed. Y'all can continue this over in gun channels.
I do have
What
a
that
quick
really
question.
means is he's got another chat to watch after this.
I do have a quick question, since not everybody may go over to the lobby. I kind of threw it in the side, and that's it's just a curiosity thing. Since most states, you do have to have some sort of permit for concealed carry, and that's my understanding anyway. Do we have an idea how many concealed carry permits there are in the U.S.?
Yeah,
That's
Good question.
like
I'm
a
sure
rough
it's out
idea.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a way. I think I've heard the number before.
Well, there's over 1 million in Florida, and there's over 1 million in Texas. So it's easy to say 3 million, maybe.
Okay,
More
so-
than that.
Now,
no,
Texas,
no.
Texas,
Way more than that.
hold
On
on,
a super
Texas
low.
only has about 480,000, sorry. It's
Really?
right under 500,000 in Texas.
I thought Texas hit that 1 million mark.
Well, I'll double check because they posted on the DPS website.
I know Florida does. Utah probably has over 1 million, or just right under, because everybody gets to Utah.
I would venture
And-
to say there's probably 50 million.
But that's the thing. You can't add Utah to the pile because look at me. I've got Arizona and Utah. You know what I mean? So
Okay,
I'd be
yeah,
counting
so
twice if you do it that way.
You would just
Yeah.
have to call every state's department, whoever issues them, and say,
Yeah.
"Hey, what's your
You
total
need
number?"
resident. You need resident permits for every state, I guess.
Exactly. What
But then you're going to get people like you. You've got a Pennsylvania.
No, I have just
You-
the Utah.
So if they took only residents, then they wouldn't count you. So you know what I mean? It's a tough one.
No,
would
well,
be
I mean,
like-
look at this. Like, no one I mean, like, those states that have out of residence passes, you could just ask them separately. It would be like, okay, who has a residence pass and who
Well,
has
that's what I'm saying. If you did that, then you're going to count you, which only has one, and then you're going to also count me, which has two, when you count Utah, because we both share Utah.
Right. That's why I'm thinking if
So it's a
if we
tough one.
count
So I kind of like it
residents-
that they don't know it. I don't like them knowing how
But it
many
does
guns
make
we
us look
have. I
bigger
don't like
than
them
what we
knowing how
really
much
are.
ammo we have, and I don't like them knowing how many of us are actually carrying.
The good thing is that no matter what, like, even if you do try to find a number and you don't subtract the math, we definitely look bigger than what we are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm just always trying to wrap my brain around how, if we had 50% participation, how much power we would actually have, and that's ultimately why I'm trying to figure out numbers.
All right, I can give you one number for you, Dano. This comes from October 1st, 2013. 200,000 in Wisconsin. So it's been out since November 2011. So you're probably
There's also a lot of states that
million
don't.
by now.
There's also a lot of states that don't offer out of states, but
Okay.
the ones that do, there's a lot of them.
Hold on. In Texas, in 2007, back before Obama took office, there were 288,000 CHL holders. In 2013, there's 708,000.
Oh, so you're about to hit that
Increased
number.
by 3 times the number since Obama took office. That's
This link
amazing.
that Ralph put in here says that in Arizona we've got 250,000, 215,000.
That's good because you only have about 5 million in your state.
No,
Solid.
oh no. Well, maybe yeah. Okay, sorry. I was thinking Phoenix was a little bit smaller, but yeah, maybe 5 million altogether.
So yeah, we're seeing. Look at this.
Our-
California only has 35,000. Delaware only has 5,000. Florida has 1.25 million. Georgia is 600,000.
Oh yeah, dogs. We're probably talking like 20, 30 million then. Easy.
That's why I was going to say 50 million, but then
I don't think it's that many.
No, not if Florida only has 1.2, and we've only got a
You know, if
quarter.
you think about it, all right, then how many people
That's
do you know
California.
who don't CCW? There's got to be a lot more gun owners that don't even CCW. So yeah, there's a lot of gun owners.
Yeah, a lot of gun owners. I'm talking about concealed carriers. How many concealed carriers?
If you have 30 million concealed carriers, you probably have about 90 million gun owners easy.
And the reason I ask about concealed carry is because generally I'm going to make an assumption that these are people that are a little bit more committed to gun rights than necessarily all the rest of the gun owners.
Wait.
There are people that.
Good point. Because they're not just casual gun owners; they're actually participating in carrying.
I thought Pennsylvania had shitty gun laws.
No, they're pretty decent, except outside Philadelphia.
No, they're like an island up there. They're like one of the few that's like.
Oh yeah, because they have almost 800,000, and then Rhode
High
Island.
population and good laws. Yeah.
Yeah. Tennessee. Texas is 584.
Oh, I thought that said Rhode Island was like 4 million. That's 4,000. The way they wrote
Say, how old is this, and what does it say for Wisconsin?
180,000.
Yeah, we're over 200,000 as of October 1st. So this
I have an
is
idea.
quite old.
What if we just, as a group, illustrated the fact that these people are out there? In other words, instead of wishing we had more, or wishing we had a larger voice, why not shed light on the voice that we do have? Again, maybe this is pretty big. I don't know what you said, 50,000 or 50 million?
That's what I think. 50
Look
million.
how many of these states are 500. There's so many states that are larger than Arizona, like 200,000, or there's so many states that are up above 300,000. So if we just made that known, and if the NRA, for example, instead of, I don't know, whatever they're shouting from the rooftops, if they just, again, shine a light on how many of us are out there right now, every day, carrying a firearm responsibly. Does this site have a total anywhere, or is it just a bunch of states? I didn't see a total anywhere, but I guess somebody'd have to go and look at all those numbers and add them up or something. They don't make it real easy, but whatever that number is, and then every time something comes up, we can go, well, there's every time they want to complain that firearms are dangerous or blah 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 for the children, we can go look at how many millions of people have been carrying every single day since the last 10 years or whatever, and there's never been an incident with that millions of people. It's definitely millions of people.
And that's ultimately what I would be driving at as far as why am I looking for the numbers? Is that?
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it, and that we're not saying in the future maybe we might get to this. We can say, look at what we've already established. Look at what's already been done. Did you know that this many people in whatever's Illinois? No, there's none yet. But did you know that in Iowa there's 500,000, or in Indiana there's 500,000 people walking around with firearms? Potentially every single day, and you never hear a peep from any of those people in Indiana ever.
Yeah, I think it's funny that the other day Hillary Clinton saying, "Oh, we need to back off on all these people carrying guns and blah 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 because people shoot people in movie theaters for talking on the phone."
Right.
It's like she didn't even know that the guy who did that is an ex-SWAT cop in that area. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, she was referring to an actual incident? I thought she was just talking about
Well, no, when she said that, she was referring to the Florida incidents where the guy shot the other guy with the phone or whatever. But the concealed carry holder was like an old retired cop. So I guess like when he retired from the police force, a lot of states just give former cops CHLs at like no cost.
Oh, that's federal. No, you have a federal. Once you're a retired law enforcement, if you choose to pursue it, you can get a national level carry. And for a while, they used to be able to carry on planes and stuff. What's that called, Stone Guy? When you get your retirement permit?
Oh, yeah.
It's like a federal permit or something, I think.
Yeah, it's good for
It's really
all.
big.
It's a TAN card.
It looks like a passport. It's really big.
It's called a TAN card or something like that.
I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've seen one, but I know. And not every cop gets one. You have to ask for it. You have to pursue it or something. But
right. Yeah, you have to be
it makes
retired.
sense. There's more, and they know what they're doing. Why not have them as a resource?
Exactly.
Because they're not all bad. I mean, obviously she's citing one, crazy guy probably.
But
or
she
whatever.
didn't know. I don't think she was aware that he was a former police officer because.
Oh no,
she
I'm not
was making
discrediting
it
you.
sound like she was saying we need to have these untrained people not carrying guns because it's creating a dangerous environment. It's like, were you aware that guy used to help set up the SWAT team in that area back in the day? He wasn't untrained. He was very well trained.
Hey, let's wait a minute. Brian in the chat said he's going to go add them up for us. So let's wait for a second and get the total before we head.
It may take him a little while to get all 50.
Well, maybe not. He's a smart guy.
Well, no,
Stone Guy going to pass out anyways.
Yeah, Stone Guy just.
I'll wait till we get the number. That'll be a good time to end it.
That
All the
number
blood
is
rushing
super
from his head.
positive. I think it's a very.
I know it's still not
It's
going to
got to
pass
be
out. He's still
huge
got to watch
because of
Aaron.
all the new states that have concealed carry that have opened up over the past few years.
I'll watch her tomorrow at work.
Yeah, well, I know the Illinois stats are not in there yet, and last I heard from the Illinois State Police, I know they have over 40,000 applications, but that was 2 months ago. Because there were a lot of people purposely waiting because they knew that there was going to be, basically a long line, even just for the training.
Now, do you think that the decline in violence is because of the fact that people are carrying, or the fact that the bad guys just don't know who's carrying now?
And this is just my personal opinion, is that there aren't enough people out there concealed carrying, and that it's got nothing to do with concealed carry because it's too early. I mean, the first permits, weren't issued until mid-March, and there were only a few thousand, I think 5,000 issued at that time.
I think he's talking about.
But I don't think I think it's just the concept that like now they know. Wait a minute. Now now people might be carrying. Maybe they can defend themselves. Maybe let's go do something else except for what we used to just have free reign.
My belief is there's two things that affect it. One thing over the 20-year decline in criminal violent activity is linked to, I think, partially due to some identity theft. What I'm saying is people don't have to mug people anymore.
I think next year's.
In other words, they don't have to physically rob you. They can swipe your PIN number or something and do unscrupulous acts that way without.
Right. So a lot of the desperate mugging situations that used to take place when, crack was real big and other things, they can find other ways to get the money without having to risk, face-to-face conflict. But the other thing that's happened is, if one guy in a Chicago neighborhood goes out and mugs an old lady and she caps him, everyone's going to know about it. That's going to spread like wildfire.
Okay, so HGP 1911 sent me a PM. It said over 10 million. I added it up and it was 9,535,000. So, and that was.
And growing. That's awesome.
Yeah, so he's saying over 10. It's definitely over 10 million.
I also want to say one thing in Chicago. Chicago has also ramped up their police force.
Well, do you know why they've ramped up their police force? They ramped up their police force when the CC they did it 2 months before they started issuing permits.
Yep.
Why do you think they started paying overtime to the cops?
Why?
Because they don't want to admit that the CHL holders are cutting down on the violent crime. They're doing a surge with the police to try to force the murder rate down so that when the murder rate comes out next year that it's declined, they can go, see, it's the police presence. They won't have to admit it's the CHLs that are really reducing it somewhat. They don't want to give any credit to the gun owners.
Well, if they didn't want to give any credit to the gun owners, I don't understand why they would be authorizing overtime. They just let it stay the way it is. Not
Well, at least
actually,
they want to clean it up before the permit holders are a factor. Like you're saying, we should wait a year to
Yeah,
find
what-
out if
what
that's
if
a
they
factor.
did
Well, if they can
nothing?
clean up the streets now, then maybe they can say that they already cleaned up the streets and we're just adding to the problem or something.
Right. So let's say they have an average of 500 murders a year, which is about the right amount, and they do nothing with the police force. The concealed carriers take effect this year, and all of a sudden that drops down to 200 murders the following year. All of a sudden, they would have to admit that that's what fixed it, the CHL holders. So now, since they did a police surge right before the CHL holders come out, and they'll maintain that now, they can say, oh, all this reduction in murders is due to the police activity. It doesn't have anything to do with those people carrying handguns.
Yeah, they don't want people to be personally responsible. They want the government to save them.
They don't want to admit they're wrong. I mean, since 1968, they've banned handguns in that city. They don't want to be proven wrong.
as well as they had registration just until recently.
Yeah. So it's really kind of a saving face for the Chicago politicians, is why they're bothering to shell out the money to pay the cops to do the overtime, because they're shelling out a lot of overtime money to those cops that they never had before in the past. Do you think they just suddenly started to care?
Well, you are right about the overtime part. Absolutely, they are.
I mean, but the question is why did they suddenly care? Why did they suddenly willing to spend that money? Why were they willing to do what they should have done to begin with? It's because of the CHLs coming out. They're covering their own rear ends.
Because Ron cares.
It's plausible deniability.
I know what you mean.
Somebody needs to go in there and community organize the hell out of Chicago. That's what I'm saying.
Who would be good for that? Let me think.
Someone should go there.
Do we know anybody like that?
I'll give him a bus ticket.
Gun websites could do it.
I'm a community organizer. I should be.
So Brian confirmed here 9,630,000. So yeah, I would say.
And remember, like that
over
number's
10
actually
million.
lower because if a lot of people have, out of state Utahs or whatever doubles, so that number's really lower of the actual people that have it.
I just got a picture. I just got this picture in my head of gun websites going to Chicago as a community organizer, and it's like Death Wish 3, where he's showing them how to set traps on the windows to knock guys' teeth out.
I just watched that movie the other day. It was funny.
That's funny.
Death
When
Wish
they
3?
come in there, they go, "What's that?" And he goes, "Teeth." They're stuck in the
Death Wish was funny.
Death Wish 3, yeah, that joint was tight. I just saw it the other day.
That's one, man.
I kind of like Death Wish 5 because he's an AMD, or there's AMDs in that one. Here, they ever see AMD 65s in movies?
Yeah, I just like
the 454 Casull. That joint was tight. What firearm?
No, that was a Willie. He had a Willie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was a Willie Magnum.
I knew it was some, and he was reloading in that joint. Super tight.
Just for the record, there's a D in Wildy.
Sorry, Wildy. But he
I
called
said
it
Wildy.
he called it as Willie.
Maybe out in the Wildy West you call it that.
I did a video and called it that, and yeah, very many people corrected me.
Well, that's
Amazing how they come out of the woodwork when you don't speak.
Isn't that what the comment section is for?
Yeah, they'll tell you how wrong you are.
I love the comment section.
Do you say the comic?
Too much wind noise.
The comment.
The wind noises.
Passing
You should
gas.
get a new mic, bro.
What are you talking about?
All right, it's going out of control. On that note,
perfect
Yeah.
time. I'm going to end this. I appreciate everybody tuning in. And
The
go over
lobby
to Gun
is open.
Channels. Yeah, gunchannels.com. What's this shit with Edge's private lobby? See the only
Edge
one over
needed
there?
his own lobby, so we made it for him this evening.
What?
We dedicated the lobby to Edge this evening.
Nice. He had a link for this chat. So anyway, well, everybody go over to gunchannels.com. We'll keep it going over there. But see y'all next time.